My name is Danny Parker, and I work as a private investigator in the U.S. state of Illinois. Usually, people turn to me to search and investigate relatively simple matters, such as monitoring the movements of an employee trying to take a bribe, or monitoring the movements of a husband who is cheating on his wife. These are traditional matters in my field of work, but 2 years ago, a group of parents came to me. They wanted my help in finding out what happened to their children, 5 friends who had disappeared during a camping trip. It was clear that they were all very wealthy and had never expected that anything bad would happen to any of their children. I got all the information from them and decided to move in the morning. The next day, I packed my bag, not forgetting my spare phone and weapon, as well as setting my GPS. It was the first time I was going out into nature to look for people, and I didn't feel comfortable. It's not that I don't like nature, but I know that those places can be dangerous and violent, just like the city, but in a different way. I looked for the camping area that the parents had designated and found this is the same area where many unexplained disappearances have occurred over the years. The boys were Eric, Josh, Kara, Dennis, and Corey. They were college-aged and had certainly researched camping spots before going. How could they not know what had happened in that area before? Or did they know and did not care? Or was it curiosity that prompted them to go and try it themselves? The 5 friends were last seen on August 18, 2022, at 7:40 p.m. when surveillance cameras caught them in a store buying some supplies of food and drinks. After this time, no one saw them in any public place. A forest ranger found their cars and all their equipment exactly as they left it, but the people themselves were completely gone. There was no sign of a struggle or that they had tried to call for help. There was no sign that anything bad had happened in this place. They had simply disappeared. The police searched the place and found no trace of them. Most likely, when a person disappears without leaving any evidence behind him, others are faced with 2 options. The first is that he simply ran away, and the second is that something very bad happened to him. And looking into the lives of these friends, you will find that their lives were very good and there was nothing wrong with them. It might prompt them to run away like this, so there is probably someone behind this unexplained disappearance. I headed to Birchfield, which was the closest town to where the missing friends were camping. It was densely populated, with many restaurants and shops. On the road leading to it, there was a sign for a summer camp, and it seemed to be deserted. The idea of summer camps was objectionable to me. I am not saying that I hate outdoor activities. On the contrary, I love making fires and cooking outside, but I don't feel it's right for someone to sleep outside in a tent with only a zipper separating them from any danger. Finally, I arrived at the hotel that I had made a reservation at. I put my car in the parking space. I picked up my bag and entered the hotel lobby. I arrived at the reception desk and spoke to the employee there. Reservation in the name of Parker. The employee started searching on the computer to confirm the reservation and then told me. My room was number 114. The receptionist asked one of the workers to take me to my room after he handed me the room key. I asked him about the restaurants in the city, and he assured me that there were a large number of restaurants and big brand chains if I wanted, and of course, there was the hotel's food. I thanked him and went up behind the worker to my room. As soon as I arrived in the room, I began to arrange my things. I placed my investigative board next to the television. This board helps me a lot in keeping track of what I am doing, as I write down on it my thoughts, my steps, and the results I have reached. I sat on my bed and began reviewing what the parents told me in the office. Josh Lopez and Corey Barnett were studying at the same university. In their second year, Josh met Kara Sullivan and began dating her, while Corey was in a relationship with Denise Harlow, and when the 4 of them decided to go camping on vacation, Denise's brother Eric asked them to join them. He was 1 year younger than them, but they did not mind. When the 5 friends disappeared, a large police force was sent to investigate and search for them, but they did not find anyone. They even sent a team of divers to check the local lake, but they also did not find anything. The last activity on their cell phones was a photo that Kara posted on her Instagram account of them, all of them sitting around the campfire. The photo was uploaded at 10 p.m., and that was the last time they were seen together at the campsite. These were all the facts that I knew, but there was one thought that worried me, which was that the fact that 5 people disappeared together at the same time was difficult. It is possible for 1 or 2 people to disappear, but the disappearance of 5 at the same time is strange and unlikely, especially given the weather. It was nice, and the camping site was normal. There were no mountains to climb or any dangerous natural features, and here I went back to the previous 2 options. Either they chose to run away, or someone worked to hide them. All the friends were from wealthy families and therefore could be ideal victims for the thieves, but records confirmed their credit cards showed that there had been no activity on the cards recently. I felt tired and hungry and decided to order pizza for dinner. I sat down to eat my dinner and watch TV. In the morning, I woke up and had breakfast in the hotel restaurant. After that, I sent a message to one of my friends. He was a lawyer and resident of the same city. I told him I was thinking about going to summer camp, and he warned me that this place was deserted and might be an opportunity for some people to commit illegal acts. I went to summer camp, and there I confirmed that the place was not deserted as my friend told me. There are many tire tracks between the camp's roads, but at the same time there are a lot of old and broken huts, as well as tall grass that looks like it has not been mowed for years. The place was perfect for any thrill seeker, homeless person, or perhaps someone looking for a place to do drugs. The camp was very large and full of insects, and I had a feeling that someone was watching me, and my feeling matched the sentence that was written on the wall in front of me. I am watching you. I looked at the rest of the walls and did not notice anything written on them, but I noticed at the end of the wall the phrase, "Get out now." I felt that there was nothing more to know in this place, so I moved in the direction of the camping that the 5 friends had chosen, and on the road leading there, I saw a car that appeared to have been transformed by someone into a small laboratory for preparing methamphetamine. It appears that this laboratory was exposed to a fire and was extinguished randomly. Could this laboratory have anything to do with the disappearance of friends? Could it be that they were responsible for it, or did they arrive there by chance? This is why they disappeared. At this time, I felt that we would not find these friends alive. In disappearance cases, the first 48 hours are crucial, and as days passed, the chances became greater that these people were dead or brutally murdered. But could it be that the 5 have disappeared without a trace? 5 people is a relatively large number. It could be an entire family. How could they hide with such suspicion? The real problem is that the forest is very large, so it is possible for someone or something to come from any direction without anyone noticing. In that case, if a criminal is behind the disappearance of the friends, he will most likely have finished with them and disappeared completely because they have been missing for more than 5 days already. I wandered around the place for a while longer. I knew that the area had already been combed, but I felt that I had to stay for a while, maybe wait a little or take a last look. I did not find anything noteworthy, and here I decided to go to the locals. In every city, there is a place known to be dangerous. It may be a house, a garden, a farm, or a street. It may be just gossip or a rumor, but it may be useful in the search process. I thought quickly and found that mingling would be easier either at the barber shop or in one of the bars in the city. I drove out on the main road and found a bar on the other side, so I went there and parked my car near it and went in. There were few people inside, but I knew that in a bar, you are often encouraged to sit and chat, and that was exactly what I was looking for. That chat will help me get some information, and I actually sat in front of the bartender, and he asked me what I prefer to drink, and I started exchanging simple random conversations with him, and then I asked him about the posters spread all over the city. These posters had pictures of the 5 friends on them, and it was one of the parents' attempts to reach any information related to their children, and then the bartender told him that he hoped their parents would find them, but despite that, he said that they had most likely gone where they should not go. So I encouraged him to speak and asked him what he meant, and here he began talking about an area called Spruce Grove, and that area he said was terrifying in daylight hours, and of course at night become much worse, as it is completely dark and one cannot expect what will encounter there. He may collide with a bear or something worse than a bear, and here the adrenaline began to flow in my chest, but I preferred to continue my session and return to random conversations again with the bartender. Then I gave him a huge tip and left the place. I went back to my car and took out the map and started checking out the area of Spruce Grove that the bartender had mentioned earlier. But I was worried because it was already completely covered in dense forests, and it was a difficult area to get around, so I decided to go to the hotel to rest and sleep and move on the next morning. At exactly 7 in the morning, I woke up, had breakfast, and set out for Spruce Grove. The closer I got to the area, the more bad feeling I felt inside me. The whole area was covered with dense trees that made it impossible to see. There was a lot of rays of sunshine, the cover of the trees. The density makes the whole place shaded. I moved around the place slowly in order to focus on all the details around me. As I moved, I noticed that this place is close to the highway. This may seem like a small detail, but in reality, it is not, especially since 2 of the 5 missing people are females. Kara and Denise, both of whom are very beautiful, so the reality may be that they were both kidnapped and became victims of human trafficking. The young men may have tried to intervene and prevent this, so a violent confrontation occurred that ended with the young men being killed and the girls being kidnapped. I tried to stop in more than one place in Spruce Grove, but I did not find anything. There was nothing terrifying, but at the same time I had a feeling of unease. I don't know why, but I felt like I had to come back in the evening. I knew it was a risky decision and that it wouldn't be easy, but I didn't have any other leads that I could follow to find out what happened to the 5 friends. I went back to the hotel, had a few hours to rest, and then made sure I had my main and backup phone, as well as my gun, and a number of other essential supplies. I moved from the hotel towards Spruce Grove. I knew from the bartender that the area gets very dark at night, but dark is not the word fits the description of what I find now. It is not like when you turn off the light in your house at night, but rather more like the darkness that ancient man experienced before the advent of electricity and even the discovery of fire. The color black surrounds me from every direction. I do not deny that at this time I conjured up all the terrifying stories I know about witches and superstitions, and despite my confidence in my abilities and my great arrogance, I thought I was unbeatable. But this time I had a deep-rooted feeling that there was something bad in this place. I chose one of the areas located in the middle of Spruce Grove, stopped my car, turned off the headlights, and tried to make my eyes adjust to the surroundings around me. I took out my night vision goggles and started trying to look in all directions, but I didn't do anything. I decided to wait 15 minutes, but still nothing happened. My car was black and the windows were dark, which gave me perfect coverage. However, I felt that someone would see me and discover my location. 15 minutes passed and I was completely alert, as if I expected to see anyone or something, but fortunately nothing happened, so I turned on the lights, started the car, and moved on. Then I headed towards the forest, and from there to the abandoned summer camp. I felt that I could obtain more information at this night than I had in the daylight, and as soon as I saw the old camp sign, I got up. I turned off the lights again and returned to observation mode. I stopped the car in an empty area. I thought the camp in the morning was terrifying, but at night I realized that it was much worse. I sat for a while to let my eyes adjust to the darkness around me, and I decided to wait 15 minutes, just like I did in Spruce Grove, and here I just sat and watched and looked around me. Everything was completely normal, but after several minutes I thought I saw what looked like a shadow moving away in the dark. I leaned forward to confirm what I was seeing, but I didn't notice anything, so I took out my night vision goggles and started taking a closer look. The moving shadows were not shadows, but rather a group of people wearing black cloaks and walking through the forest. A group of 12 people walking on the far right side of the camp road. They looked frightening and their clothes looked terrifying, long cloaks. I don't know how they didn't stumble or how could they see in this darkness. I took a deep breath and began to focus on what was happening around me. I was careful not to make any sound so that no one would notice my presence. I waited until they completely disappeared in front of me, and here I looked around to make sure that no one noticed me or was watching me or was waiting to attack me. I started the car without turning on the lights and started moving. I made sure that no one was following me, and I quickly returned to the main road without any problems. I returned to the hotel a few minutes after midnight. I got out of my car and went inside the hotel. I went up to my room immediately. I took off my coat and shirt, which were wet with sweat, and ate the piece of candy I had left in the morning and the cup of tea that had become cold. I was feeling hungry and thirsty, but I did not notice it. In light of what happened today, I wrote the word cult on my blackboard and decided that the next morning I would return to the abandoned camp to try to get more information. I grabbed my phone and browsed some things to take my mind off the investigation and what was going on in it, and soon I felt like sleeping. Here I turned off the TV and phone and got up to close the curtains. My rooms overlooked the parking lot. I looked at my car, and then I noticed something strange. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was someone standing far from the parking lot, near the hotel garden, and he was wearing a jacket, black jacket with a black hood and face. His appearance was terrifying and strange, and here I felt completely alert, and I quickly bowed down before this person noticed that I saw him. I remained sitting on the floor. I thought for a little while, and then I tried to reassure myself that the hotel was large and certainly had a good security and protection system, and was on the second floor, so it wouldn't be broken into. But I was sure that the presence of this person like this in front of my room was not a coincidence. It must have something to do with what I saw this evening. I crawled towards the table next to my bed and grabbed my phone, and from the bag, I took out a selfie stick, which looked very useful now. I returned to my place under the window. I turned on the recording and flipped the screen. I raised the phone to the window slowly and carefully so I could see if this person was still there or not. When I put my phone down, I found him in the same place. It had not moved an inch. This relatively tall person appears to be a man from his appearance. He stands with his hands in his jacket pockets as if he is waiting for something. I tried to stay awake for as long as possible, but I couldn't. And here I decided to let technology do this role for me. I pulled out my bag again and took out a small surveillance camera from it, which I was accustomed to carrying with me on all my tasks. I made sure that the curtains were closed, and then I got up. And in less than a second, I installed the camera to the window after synchronizing it with my phone. I felt satisfied watching this person, and I sent some pictures and clips and an explanation of what was happening to my lawyer friend, but it seems that he is asleep now. I went up to my bed after making sure that the room door was closed, and I placed one of the heavy chairs in front of it, and I slept deeply. Funnily enough, that night was the best time I had slept since I arrived in this city. I woke up in the morning and immediately checked the footage recorded by the phone. It seemed that this person had waited for a long time before he decided to enter the parking lot, and then he completely disappeared from the camera. My lawyer friend called me at the same time to check on, and I told him that everything was fine. I had breakfast on the room and then got dressed and went down towards the summer camp. I was certain that what had happened yesterday could not have been random or a coincidence. I went downstairs and went towards my car. When I got there, I found that there was an envelope placed neatly between the car's windshield and the wipers. I inspected the box and found that there was something solid inside. I opened the envelope and found inside the word, "This is what you are looking for," and with it, a flash drive. I forgot all my plans and went up again to my room. I took out my laptop and plugged in the drive. There was only one video clip. I opened the video. Everything was blurry at first, but after a few seconds, the image became clear. The video was taken from a distant area between the trees, and it shows the 5 friends sitting together, and everything seems normal, but then the focus is on a 6th person, a girl who looks very attractive, who was sitting nearby Eric and exchanged a friendly conversation with him. Everyone had drinks. Then the girl snuck out to go to the bathroom, but as soon as she walked away, she was filmed making a call before returning to the friends, and then she stopped and called them in a weak voice, saying, "There is something you should see now." They went to the place where the girl was standing, but the filming stopped after the sound of a woman screaming was recorded. I decided to immediately contact the police in the state, even before I informed the parents. I informed the police with everything I knew, and then, seeing no point in sitting and waiting, I packed my bags and returned to my home and office in Illinois. A week after my return, I received a call from one of the parents telling me that the police had tracked down the girl in the video clip, and it turned out that she was working with a huge human trafficking network. That network had spotted the 5 friends, and they decided to follow them. The camping trip was the perfect opportunity for them. Here, they decided to use that beautiful girl to get closer to Eric and lead them into a trap. But when the network learned that these group from wealthy families decided to change the plan, instead of selling the 5 friends, they would demand their family's ransom, and that is why the 5 remained alive all those days. The 5 friends were found in one of the abandoned houses located 2 hours away from the place of the disappearance. That case was terrifying and strange, but everyone is grateful that the 5 are still alive. But despite the fact that nearly 2 years have passed since that case, it still concerns me. How did they know that I was monitoring the summer camp, and who filmed the 5 friends and delivered it to me?